Welcome to the Intern Academy Gradcast. It's the culmination and continuation of decades of ministry being poured into each new generation. Listen in to intern graduates from all generations and learn what it really means to be a part of this pipeline of leadership that is changing the world one internship at a time.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Gradcast. My name is Abby Hills. Sorry, guys. I'm house sitting, and the dog just decided to bark as we started. So I'm Abby. I'm here with Matthew and Maddie as always. How are y'all doing?
Doing
Good.
fantastic.
And we're also joined by the wonderful Alex Mobley. Alex, how are you doing?
Doing well.
I feel like it's been, I know not for Alex, but like for us, it's been a couple weeks, I feel like, since we've all been together. Because with the hurricane situation. So it's good to be back. It's been fun. So, well, Alex, do you want to share a little bit about who you are and just kind of tell us about your IA connection and all the things and what you're doing now for our listeners?
Well, really, who are any of us? No.
True.
Yeah, my
True.
name is, so like I said, I'm Alex. I am a youth pastor located up here in Pryor Creek, Oklahoma. Doing some great ministry up here. I get to work with some state ministry stuff that we get to do here, and get to work with students when it comes to like state youth conventions and camps, and especially discipling here in our own setting where we're at. Big heart of mine is in leadership and discipleship for our students. And so something like Intern Academy was just like a natural fit. So this will be my third year of being a coach for IA. And I have lovely wife Jessica and two boys, Oliver and Max. And we're just enjoying what God has for us out here in the Midwest.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited to have you, and it's cool to hear your story, and also just kind of hear that you're also from my hometown, or not hometown, home state. So
Yeah.
but it's cool what you guys are doing, and so we're excited to chat with you. And I know Maddie has a super fun icebreaker question for us. So Maddie, take it away.
All right, so our icebreaker question of the day is, what is the longest thing you have ever done that you surprisingly enjoyed? So I'll give an example of mine. Mine would probably be my 75-hour travel time to Zimbabwe. Not coming back because, yeah, I just had nothing to look forward to like when I got back. But going there, I was like super excited. And so I kind of enjoyed it, like watching the movies on the plane and like sleeping and like, I don't know, it was just nice. So
That's such a good example. I'm like, I don't know how to follow that up.
thanks.
Yeah.
Matthew, do you have one? I gotta think. Or Alex, you can think that quickly.
It's a hard question because I typically don't like putting myself in scenarios of things that I don't think that I'm gonna
Yep.
not enjoy. So I only do it if I know that I will have at least an 85% satisfaction in doing it. Um, but I think for me, it's we do a pumpkin patch for the month of September and October. I absolutely despise the truck unloading because it's about
Okay.
like 15,000 pumpkins that we are just taking out of the truck and putting them onto our field.
Wait,
But
that's insane.
yeah, and we get the 15,000 truck at the beginning, and then I think we get like 5 to 10,000 weekly, just to keep up stock. I don't like the unloading, but the quality time with like everybody from the church and everybody coming together, it makes it worth it, and it allows me to show up every year to do it
Mm,
for another 2 hours every week.
that's so good. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say for me, being a dad, I've had to go to some of these like kid plays or kid performances. And you just go to these, don't get me wrong, again, love my kids,
Right.
but I love my kids. So sometimes you've got to watch these shows and it's just going to be like track music, or they don't know, they don't have everything right, they don't know all the steps. And you have every grandma out there with her iPad, like taking a big picture. And gosh, I never look forward to them. But there has been a time or two when the play itself, through actual effort, has been good, or because something goes wrong. And when that something goes wrong, that is, it's funny to watch. I mean, if I'm being honest, right?
Oh, of course.
So, uh, but all that to say is those are some things that you feel like they're going to take a long time, but they actually be pretty entertaining.
So, can we get an example of like a funny, if you can even think? They're also like, is it like I
Yeah.
blocked it out after it was over kind of thing?
No, there's a few, like, my son, when he was in preschool, would be part of the they did a choir. He went to a private preschool thing, and they would do like this Christmas performance, and of course you'd have, 1-year-olds get up and sing as best they could. But he was 3 at the time, I want to say. And naturally they're all singing like Jingle Bells or Rudolph or whatever it may be. And my son is up there in his Christmas sweater, and he's just like stretching it out and pulling up over his head, just showing his
Mhm.
stomach to everyone. And I've never been more proud.
Honestly, that's amazing. That's like the perfect, like, stereotypical, yep, that's
Yeah.
happening right now, and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
It's so good. I think for me, I feel like I might have told this story on the Gradcast, and if I did, I'm so sorry. But it was 3 years ago. I was a student ministry, no, I was a communications intern, but I was helping with the student ministry high school camp trip. No, it was high school and middle school. And so on the way back, we have a 13-hour drive from Orange Beach,
Ooh.
Alabama, back to Edmond, Oklahoma. And it's already been a long day. We left at like 4 a.m. Everyone's tired, cranky. And, there's always that one kid, maybe two, that has to stop every hour that just can't, and it's like, okay. Like not even for bathroom, it's like snacks or whatever. So we're about I gotta make this quick. Sorry. But basically, we're almost back, 3 hours left. And all of a sudden, there's like a weird smell. And I'm like, it smells like pee.
Oh no.
What's going
Oh.
on?
Oh my gosh.
And because there's a bathroom in the back. Yep. And so I'm sitting in the very back row. And all of a sudden, I turn around and like my backpack's on the ground. And I see under the door to the bathroom that water is coming out, and my stuff's getting wet, and so is the other intern who's with me, my best friend Paige. And we're like, no way. Well, sure enough, someone clogged the toilet, it overflowed, and pee is now going all over the
This was
bus,
supposed to be
the bus
something you
floor.
like.
No, so okay.
She enjoys that. She
No,
enjoys
no.
watching.
So essentially, yeah, to wrap it up, we had to, no, I actually realized I really got off track. So the trip itself and like the whole ride was great. And I learned by the end, we had to pull over. Like it was such a funny moment. Like looking back in the moment, I was so frustrated. But then we got back on, everyone's laughing, and it's now like a big bonding moment. And so I didn't enjoy having to wash all my stuff like 5 times, like my backpack. No, I think I threw that backpack away. I was just like, nope, there's no redeeming that. But just looking back, I'm like, that's a really funny story. And like, I still bond with those students over that and my best friend Paige. So yeah, I guess I didn't quote unquote enjoy it, but it was like, I got to make the best of this and what happened, because if I don't, well, then it's just real bad. So,
Hey, remember that time you peed all over my backpack? Man, great
right,
times. Great
right.
times.
Well, and yeah, we still don't know who it was. I think it was one of our other intern friends, which he knows that we all think that, but he'll never admit it. So
Well, can
Anyways,
you blame them?
yeah, well, yeah, no, exactly. I'm like, we'll never know. God knows. That's all that matters.
So if you're listening, we know
Yeah.
it was you.
Yeah. It's okay. His name is Ben. So Ben knows. Like, we think it was him. It's all right. It's okay.
Typical Ben.
Typical Ben. Yep. So love that question, Maddie, because tonight we're talking about the reality of heaven and just kind of like what heaven's gonna be like. And I mean, that is where we're gonna spend, eternity, where we're gonna spend, I mean, it's not our lives, but essentially, what truly matters. And so this life here on earth is so short in comparison. And so kind of transitioning into that. And I mean, of course, that is something that we're gonna enjoy. But so kind of transitioning into that, let's just kind of open it up with the question, like, what does the Bible say about heaven? And I mean, let's just open it up with that for whoever wants to answer.
I love you guys when we were talking about this and you sent this message about like we're going to be talking about what really is heaven and what does it look like, and I'm thinking, great, we have to take the most indescribable thing
Mm,
and describe it within like 30 to plus minutes. Like that was you set a very large task for today.
yeah.
But I love it. It kind of takes me back to like my college roots. I mean, uh theology students love nothing more than to sit back at a lunch table and just wax poetic about scripture. So um I was thinking about this, and I know that you guys have kind of been thinking about this as well. Um, but I'm curious for you, like from your perspective. I mean, for some of you guys, maybe fresher out of high school or college or wherever it may be, um, just like how would you answer this question first off?
Mm,
Mm. Well, for me, I would kind of go into the aspect of like that endless worship. Um, I know that I've said it so many times throughout all of the episodes, but like the musical aspect of worship is like where like my heart really is a lot. And I've always loved just singing my heart out. Every camp that we do with the students, all of us just coming together and giving all of our praise up to God. And I like the idea of when we're up there, it's just going to be endless praising. Like, when
Mhm.
we're here in our earthly lives, like there are going to be times where like, I'm not going to be singing my heart out in the middle of a work shift at Olive Garden. But when I'm in my car, I'm belting out those notes and I'm just giving it all up to God, pushing the worries away. And it's kind of a little bit of relief, like, oh, I'm not going to be having these worries when I'm up there. It's just going to be straight up worship 24/7. And not gonna lie, I'm a little excited for that feast. Uh, love a good meal, especially being able to sit with Jesus and just have all of those conversations with all of the fellow everybody that's going to be up there in the kingdom with us. That's kind of like my first process of thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, like, for me, I guess kind of when I was, like, a baby believer, just kinda getting the grasp of, like, heaven, I think it was kinda scary for me at first because I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, that's a lot of singing." Like, I don't know if that like, that used to just, like that used to scare me, and I'm like, "Man, I know it's gonna be great, but, like, I don't know about all that." But when I, like, really started to dig into it, I think it's really cool, like, how much we don't know. It
Mm,
almost gives me something to look forward to, like, it's such a mystery, like,
yeah.
and I know people have their different theories, like, if we're gonna have a job in heaven, like, how Adam and Eve, they had their job in the beginning, before sin and stuff, and I think that would be really, really cool, like, to have a
Yeah.
job in heaven. Not that I'm, like, a workaholic, but it's
No.
nice to, like, have something to do. Um, but I do agree with you too, Matthew, like, the feast in heaven, like, is there Waffle House in heaven? Like, I just gotta know these things, and
Oh,
I just wanna know, like, but it's kinda cool to have a mystery, so what about you,
yeah.
Abby?
Yeah, no, I love that mystery portion. I think that there's something I went through a season like a few years ago where I was like, I need to know everything about, why God says this, does it, like just it wasn't deconstruction, but it was just the like, okay, I need to know why this is that and that. And it's like, I'm not God, like we're not supposed to. And I think just thinking about eternity, there's something so sweet about that. But we know at the same time, like God has been, talking about this, and like there's prophecies over like heaven and just kind of, the Lord coming back and redeeming, the earth and taking us to heaven. That just, it's so cool. It's like, okay, this is clearly something so beautiful, and like we're not even able, we can imagine it now, but it's going to be beyond like even our wildest imaginations in like such an amazing way. And I think when I think about heaven, it's like the peace aspect. And I think also, like you said too, Matthew, like the community specifically, like in a worship sense, but also just in general, like, I mean, just everything is going to be everyone will be so full of joy, but it's like an actual joy in the Lord. And like, it just, nothing can get better than what it truly is. And it's just, there's something so exciting about that. And, the more that I'm able to like look past, the things of the everyday and, keep my eyes fixed on heaven and, be able to share that with those around me. Like all of us are able to share that with those around us. I mean, it's so exciting to think about. So that's kind of what I would say in a nutshell. But Alex, what about you? Tell us all the things.
Well, this is where, I've got a hot take.
Yeah.
So Matt, I'm sorry, man. Worship is not my jam.
It's all
I
good.
like, I know enough chords on a guitar to be dangerous, but not to, it's a joyful noise is what it is. It's not music, it's just noise.
So good.
Um, like, I was actually just talking to someone recently about like winter jam when you have to take students to winter jam, and like there are some artists that you love to hear, and then there's others, and you're just like, nah, this is not really connecting with me. So for me, um, I love some worship. I'll put it that way. But I recognize that, like, hey, it's not all about me, and I think that's the beautiful thing about heaven is that
Mm,
it's not all about me. It's
Mm,
not my preference, because much like, I mean, if we look at like prayer as being just being in community with God, right? Talking with Him, being with Him, and how prayer is a little bit less so of just constantly talking to Him, but is
mm,
also like walking with Him throughout daily life and so on. I would envision worship being pretty similar, right?
mm.
So I can worship him in my car, and I can worship him at an Olive Garden, even if I'm not serenading the poor people who just want free breadsticks, right? Um, but for me, it's like worship here. I can be in a worshipful mindset at all times, or
mhm,
as best I can. And so when I look at heaven in that regard, um, I love the fact that heaven is not strictly one thing, but rather kind of all things at once. Like
Mm.
there is, I mean, scripture tells about rooms that are prepared for us, the feast that is made for us, the river of living water, the trees of fruit that are still there. Like it's going to be a little hard for me to sing while my mouth is full of food, unless it's now that's perfect mouth or something. But um, I do think that as I'm enjoying the feast, I am worshiping. As I am doing whatever job Maddie has, right? Like you would be worshiping. Um, and so I think like when I think about heaven, what is heaven? The thing that I come back to the most is what is it about God, about the mission of Jesus Christ? What is it about the experience of the Holy Spirit? What was it that caused you to sign up for this in the first place? Right?
Mm.
Because if that's the thing that your heart is aching for the most, that's what you're going to appreciate the most in heaven. right? So for me, in my history, like I have the thing that really made me kind of subscribe to the covenant, right? Like I want some of that, was like just being known, right? I don't have to be anyone else. Like I can be myself. And more than that, I'm accepted and loved as myself. And so when I get to heaven and, God reminds me, like, yes, I am this great, wonderful creation that he made, but I start to see other ways that God made me that was good for him, right? Like now I'm seeing my worth is not just in who I am, but rather my worth is because he made me who I am.
Mm,
And so I start to get in touch with my maker. And so that's kind of what I'm looking forward to in heaven, is getting to know the guy who made me. Um,
Mm.
so for you guys, right? Um, like what would that look like? Like I'm curious, and if we follow that train of logic, right? Like what made you sign up to be a Christian? And then how would you see that kind of elaborated on in heaven?
mm,
Yeah. So that too kind of goes into one of our questions of like, how are we called to live on earth in the meantime, like while we're awaiting to get to heaven? Like that goes perfectly hand in hand with one of our questions. Um, but I think that's such like a hard concept for me sometimes because I'm like, I I feel like I'm so driven for like helping people know who God is who don't know really who God is, like whether that's here in my local college or overseas. And sometimes I'm like, what is that going to be like in heaven? Like it's just like such a big thing to me, like the people who I've talked to like in Zimbabwe or Guatemala or wherever. um I think that moment would be pretty cool to like see them in heaven and like see if they stuck with it, you know? And I think that really
Mhm.
like drives me to be excited is like what I'm doing right now, it doesn't only stay here and it doesn't only stay in this lifetime. Like when I'm in heaven, if I get to meet those people, that's awesome. And just I wonder in heaven too if like you'll know if like, you know, someone had a generational impact, I guess. It's just one question that I would love to ask people there, but I think what really drives me is like, God is so good to us. He's so awesome and amazing and he's always there, and it's just I want other people to feel that too. Like I want other people to feel they're not alone. And I think
mm,
that's really what kind of drives me and just really what made me want to get into ministry in the first place is just like I want to share this. Like this is awesome, you know? Um
mm.
but yeah.
That's good.
It's like the
Maddie,
community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I was gonna ask was, is it like that community aspect? Because Maddie, that's good. And I'd say to answer your question, Alex, like for me, I keep wanting to call you Andrew because preface listeners, I thought someone was hacking into the podcast because there was an Andrew, I don't know what the last name was, and I was like, who is this? Like, why would they? And yeah, it's just Alex. It's okay. It's okay, guys. Um, but for me, I would say like I really, and I kind of answered this in my first, like talking about what I was thinking about with heaven and just what it's gonna be like. Like I really wanted when I just kind of discovered like, oh, God is a God of peace and like really someone that, um, like I can just run to him, like he is a father. And I think that was kind of like my biggest thing when it came to, okay, I want to subscribe, like sign me up, like,
Mhm.
and so I think that I'm trying to remember the second part of your question. Um in terms of just like in heaven, I mean, I think that, that's kind of how it's going to be. There's not going to be any sorrow. There's not going to be sin, there's not going to be anything except, okay, we're looking to Jesus. We're looking to the Father who, you know, is perfect. And I mean, ultimately, just what we are here for. And so I don't have to worry about anything else. And there's something so really so cool about that. And so just exciting, and like it's so easy to forget here on earth in the midst of all the things. So um that's kind of what I'd say for me, which it's also a really good question, Alex. So thank you. Matthew, what about you?
Mine is kind of like what Maddie said, like the community aspects. Like that's always like been like the biggest thing for me. I had given my life in seventh grade, seventh to eighth grade summer year. Um and it was just seeing everybody come together, putting differences aside, putting the past behind them, and just being able to come together and have a simple conversation without arguing or without bickering, and just seeing that it's truly loving your neighbor and an atmosphere and a family where you feel safe and where you feel comfortable. Um, like my students, some of them like, I'll be honest, some of them they're students, but there are some that like they're taking that extra step to say, hey, I want to have the faith that you have. I want to put my trust in God, and they work with us and they make sure that they're staying in their scripture, that they are worshiping, that they're having those conversations with God. And it becomes more than just a student leader relationship. It becomes a friendship because we're all here together doing the same thing for the same um idea of lifting up our creator.
Mm.
And I think that's what I look forward to the most, just being able to know that we're all there for the same reason, because we believed in our creator and because our creator loved us, that he was willing to sacrifice himself so that we could be the living sacrifices here on earth, giving up everything that is thrown at us, the temptation and all of that, so that we can live that life with him.
Mm, that's good. Maddie, kind of going back to like that last question, just about like, you know, here on earth in the meantime, like I was listening to a podcast that was talking about just heaven and how also the things on earth can't satisfy. Like it's so we look to things on this earth, like they brought up the idea of like Amazon, we can just add to cart. Like we're trying to find things here on earth that aren't going to satisfy. And it's just easy as humans to do that, you know? And so um I'm curious, Alex, but everyone else too, just kind of as we wrap up here, how can we, instead of, trying to find fulfillment, trying to find, a puzzle piece that only eternity with the Lord can fill, how do we like store up our treasures in heaven rather than trying to find a longing here on earth as we're waiting?
Mm.
Just like
Okay.
I guess practical things.
Some practical ways that we can experience heaven
No.
presently, but not yet.
Just
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
to it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I love that thing about heaven is, I mean, when Jesus is preaching, he's saying like the kingdom of heaven is at hand, like it is here. Like you can look for it. And so when we're talking about storing treasures in heaven, like we do have this really future centric mind. But in a sense, you still get to reap some of the rewards right now. And so like one of those, if you're talking about like community, like community is one that I've heard from both, Matt and Maddie. Um, a way that we could go ahead and start investing treasures in in that aspect of heaven that we're really drawn towards is like not being afraid to be a part of a community. Being willing to step out and say, yeah, you know what, I have had a bunch of finals and everything, but I'm going to go to a church, right? Or I'm going to go find a group that I can be a part of. Maybe there isn't a ministry that's catered for me, and that's okay. Like there's worth in, because when we get to the community of heaven, we're all different, and we're all different here as well. And so we have got a few college students in our church here who have just found great community in early morning group that meets, and these people are all 60 plus. Like they just really love getting in there and hanging out with them. And so sometimes community doesn't look exactly like we envision. But the key is like be willing to try new things, be willing to be uncomfortable for a moment. And who knows how God can not only store up those treasures in heaven in the future, but how can you start to experience a community that transcends just human lines? How could you do that right now, right?
That's so good. Yeah, no, I love that. I'm sorry, I don't even have any thoughts right now to follow. I'm like, that was so good. I'm like, mic dropped. Do you guys have any other thoughts, Matthew or Maddie, just before we wrap up here? Because unfortunately, it's that time already.
Yeah, I think too, like, I'm trying to think for me, like, whenever I really feel like, I don't know, I guess like that heavenly kind of thing on earth, I feel like, especially in ministry, it's when I take time to really pause and like just take time to realize like what's going on here is just like so much bigger than I can even imagine. And so it sounds like such a hippie, and I promise, just because I live in the mountains of North Carolina, not not that big a hippie, y'all. But I
She
would really
says with
like just
yarn decor on her chimney.
Bro.
okay, it's just
Totally not
like
a hippie.
no, I'm definitely not. That's from Hobby Lobby, so don't worry.
Right. Yeah. It's all good.
But like just getting outside, I think for me, and just seeing like, a waterfall, or even like with it being fall time and like all the leaves, I'm just like, man, this is so beautiful. Like I can't even imagine how beautiful heaven is. And that just really connects me with God sometimes. And being a hippie also.
I was about to say, she's not a hippie. She brings up the waterfalls and nature.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
She
The
is,
back
just
of
not
my
for
van.
those reasons.
Right.
Yeah. Just living in my van, y'all.
Oh gosh, that's so good. No, I think that's all really good. And Alex, thank you so much for sharing. Like, this is a topic that I think, one, it's so, like we said, I mean, it's complicated, but at the same time, like it's simple, but it's not, there's so much that could be said and so much we don't know. But at the same time, like we get to focus on the fact that like eternity is going to be so beautiful. And we get to be with the Lord. And at the end of the day, like that's all that matters here in this life, and then when we're in heaven with him. And so thank you for sharing just your insight and a little bit about who you are. And yeah, this was a really good conversation. And again, like I feel like we could talk about this for a long time. There's so many tangents and like rabbit holes and things we could go down with it. And so maybe that'll be like a part 2 sometime. I feel like there's so many part 2s we need to do, guys. But we just appreciate you and your time, and just for chatting with us. So so to our listeners, we will see you guys back for another episode of the Gradcast soon. And until then, we will see y'all. Peace.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.